Welcome to my little space where heart and hook stitch up a place where we can together make a refuge safe for all our sake. That's the tree right in the middle there where I always do my photo shoots, by the way. I'm just filming the trees, showing the wind and the fact that rain is on its way. This is your weekly reminder that the net proceeds of every Nana sale will be donated to the ACLU, and I thank you for helping me with my project of Nanas Against Trump and Fascism. This one is named after my brother. Well, I think it's officially fall when I want to wear a sweater most of the day, inside at least. It's still getting warm outside, middle of the day to the end of the day, if I'm outside. But if I'm inside and not in the sun, especially drinking cold coffee, and look how that's separated. This is all foam at the top. So if I let this sit for very long, I have to give it a stir. This one's particularly icy too. They don't always end up so icy, but that helps me to drink it more slowly. As my partner has also said about his, when it's pretty icy like this, I'll if I just drank it really fast, there would be like a lot of iciness and foam at the bottom, and I'll just drink it slowly and it will slowly melt and turn into my yummy protein coffee. If you missed it before, I talked in a previous chapter about how I'm making my coffee hot in my cup, and then I put it in the fridge or freezer and let it chill. And then once it's totally cold, I add some ice cubes and I blend it with a scoop of protein powder. So that's what I've been doing lately. I've kicked the heavy cream that I was using in my coffee for the longest time, and I think I'm doing well with this added bit of protein. I do eat a lot of protein. I already eat like a keto/carnivore diet. But I think my body likes having the extra protein and not quite so much extra fat in my coffee. But anyway, I thought I'd show you where I'm at with this purple one. Another shrug. And now I don't think I always say this. This is a design by Star Lily Creations. So I want to make sure to give her credit. She has bought a lot of these from me, most of the ones that I've made. This is the one that has the neck hole, so that would go over your head. And then I need to do this this chain stitch row on these two panels. So this is what I mean by when I say I'm changing the yarns every single row instead of every row of petals, because every other row there's this skinnier chain row. So it's different. And that's this row that I'm doing here in this speckled multicolored yarn. I just really enjoy the depth I feel I get when using so many different kinds of yarn and different colors, especially when occasionally there's a yarn with like other little pops of color in there. So it's not just one solid purple, one solid yarn all the way across. That can be gorgeous too, especially if you have a really nice yarn. But if you have a mixture of like cheaper, acrylic yarns that I just typically don't care for a basic acrylic yarn for an entire garment. But if I can mix and match with, not mix and match, but mix it all up with a bunch of other cheap acrylic yarns, as well as some nicer, fun, like specialty yarns, then I feel like it makes the whole thing luxurious. I feel like we can't really appreciate this yet until it's made and put all together. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep working on this. And tomorrow morning I can photograph it with the hood. Last night, I thought I was going to finish this. I wanted to finish this and photograph it with the hood this morning along with my Nana, so I could take my Nana for my photo shoot with the shrug and the hood. But it was getting late and I was just like, you know what, Aileen, you don't have to push yourself so hard. I am doing enough. I struggle sometimes with thinking that I'm never quite doing enough and I have to push myself to do more. But there's only so much I can do and get a healthy amount of sleep. So, I definitely have that sort of, nose to the grind mindset of gotta stay busy, gotta stay on top of it. And part of that is because I've chosen this path that I have in trying to be a full-time artist. I want to make sure nobody thinks that I'm just lazy or not doing anything, or I say I'm an artist so I can just sit at home lazily all day. But I know that I work hard and I know I do a lot, and I do feel really productive, and I do I'm trying not to put too much of my self-worth on how productive I can be, because I have an ingrained desire to stay productive and make stuff and make something of this. But you know what? I already have, and I am. And so I don't need to add stress and pressure on top of that. Anyway, I'm going to shut up about that because I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. But that's kind of been on my mind this morning a little bit. So I'll get to crocheting and I'll meet you back here when I think of something else to say. On the topic of staying productive, I've been actually doing a lot of invisible work this week, invisible to this vlog at least. I've been spending a lot of time reconfiguring my prices in my shop and all the price points within my price ranges. And that is because we have now had a few increases of shipping cost at the post office since the last time I really thoroughly went through all of my items and increased the prices to account for that, as well as just the increased price of yarns. I've just never increased that line item in my calculations. And I also recently bumped up, but I never finished getting through all of my items, bumped up my bottom price, which I had paying me at a $10 an hour wage. I bumped it up to $12 an hour. And then I also updated the minimum wage for California to be 2026, what it's going to be in 2026, because we are now nearing the end of 2025 and it takes me so long to update all my prices that I figured I would just change it to that, because I also updated the other price points. The average wage for crocheters for hire in California has gone up, and the average living wage for California has also gone up. So because of all of those factors, if you were to be watching my shop, you may be noticing prices going up. However, I did just sign on to Etsy's Cyber Week sale, like a week long. And I am going to have all of my patterns, almost all of my ready to ship items, 50% off. So we have that to look forward to. So if you've been interested in wanting something of mine and there's just no chance for you to be able to afford it at my bottom price as it is now, check it out. Check out my shop during Cyber Week. So that'll be November 24th through December 2nd. That's still a ways away, but you could start looking through my shop now and getting an idea of what you might want to jump in there and grab up at 50% off of the bottom price. I just really wouldn't mind clearing out some space in my bins that I have everything stored in. All right, I got all 3 panels done with that row. This is what I'll use for the next row. But just a couple more thoughts on that. You know, I've heard it said before, when's she gonna get a real job? So part of all of this is, in terms of like putting this out in a vlog, I think was somewhat inspired by me wanting to show how much I actually do every week. And in a way, it's been really kind of cementing in my own mind how much I do when I put these videos together, because I'm like, wow, like look how much I accomplish every week. And on top of that, not just the stuff that I'm crocheting, but all the video editing too. It's sort of like the unseen work. And I'm trying to take steps to make that as quick and easy as possible, so I'm not spending a lot of time editing. Part of that is taking video clips where I'm talking a little bit more, and I don't have to sit there and carefully do voiceover work as much. But yeah, so that's all basically. You know, every week when I put out one of these videos, it's sort of reassuring to me that, like, look at what I'm doing. I know I shouldn't feel like I have to prove myself to anybody. If this is working for me in my life right now, then that's all that should matter. It is hard to let go of what people's opinions of you might be, though, isn't it? So I'm definitely still a work in progress, and I'm going to keep going on this. So the next thing I want to do after I finish this is finish the Nana that I said I was going to finish before doing this. I'm not quite done with that yet. She just needs another arm and then like breasts and final touches. And everybody say hi to Willie because he's sitting up. Hi, Willie. Hi. You good boy. But so what I was going to say is the last 2 Flying Spaghetti Monster Christmas tree ornaments, the little ones that I sold, were my last 2 that I had already made. So I need to get on batch making more of those. So I'm going to prioritize that as soon as I'm done with this and the Nana, while I wait for the green yarn to come from Hobby for the leafling top, which I keep talking about, but I don't have the yarn for it yet, so I can't make it yet. So I'll show you what I make. So this is not so much a recipe as just sort of a method I use for making noodles. I saw somebody who was in the keto sphere who had a vlog do this a while back, many years ago, and I don't really remember who it was, but you just start off with eggs. You can put whatever seasonings you want or none. I'm using salt and white pepper and garlic powder. This happens to be a super fine garlic powder, and basil. This is just dried basil leaf. And then I whisk it together, and I'm using 24 eggs because I was making this for several people, but you can do as many eggs as you want. And then whisk it vigorously and then let it sit for a little while, because the salt, I would recommend at least putting some salt in here, because the salt breaks down the proteins. And as you can see, after I've let it sit for a little bit, it's not as gloppy anymore. It breaks down the protein in the egg, so it's not so gloppy, and it's much more homogeneous, smooth. As you can see, I'm also cooking bacon because I'm going to use that in my dish. So what I do is I pour some of this egg mixture into a buttered, heated pan. Now, I strongly recommend a good non-stick pan because you don't want these sticking. But basically, you cook them like you would cook crepes. So you just pour a little into the bottom of the pan, and then you kind of swirl it around to make sure it's completely coating the bottom. And you could make them even a little thinner than I'm showing right here. But this is a pretty good thickness, I think. So what I do is I kind of like move the pan around over the flame as I'm cooking it, so it kind of can cook more evenly. My stove is like really hot. It cooks really hot. I don't know what it is about the flames, but so I'm using the smallest burner, but then again, it's centered, the heat is centered in like a really small area. So I kind of wiggle it around and keep the pan moving around the flame so that it cooks more evenly. At least I have to do that a little bit more at the beginning before the pan is fully hot. They cook a little bit easier without as much manipulation of the pan the farther I get into the stack of these that I make. But it takes a little while to cook on one side, and just once it's completely not sloppy anymore and it's solid on the bottom, a little bit browned. I like these a little bit browned. You're not trying to go for an undercooked egg here. You're trying to go for something with a little bit of chew to it. You can loosen it up with a spatula and flip it and cook it for a little bit less time on the other side. And then as I make them, I just stack them up on a cutting board. And especially for a big bowl of eggs, like 24 eggs like I did, it's quite time intensive. Okay, so I'm also doing chicken wings, and so I guess I thought I'd show those before cooking. So here's the finished bacon. Here's my finished stack of egg crepes, for lack of a better term. I divided the stack into 3 stacks and rolled each one up so that I could slice them into noodles. So I recommend a very sharp knife or something like this that's got like a nice small serration on it. I don't have the best knives, but this knife works fine. So then look at all these noodles. I'm just putting them back in the pan that I cooked them in just to store them until I have a sauce ready. Here they all are sliced up. You can, of course, put whatever kind of sauce you want on these noodles, but I have found that some sort of like creamy or cheesy creamy sauce is the absolute best for these noodles. Much better than I would say a marinara works. So I literally just heated some cream in a big pan and melted in some of this Dubliner like white cheddar and also some American cheese. So we've got some highbrow and some lowbrow together, and it was still delicious. Oh, I also put like a little squirt of plain yellow mustard in there, and it is perfect. Oh, and then of course I've also tossed it with the bacon. Hello there. So over the course of this next photo shoot that I'm showing you, I want to play a song, a track for you that my friend Michael Edminster, who is the guy behind Olympia Trout Patrol, remixed for me. Or it's more like a complete new creation of its own, using samples from a recording that I did back in college of the opening aria for Orphée by Louis-Nicolas Clérambault. And I just wanted to say that, like, during my college time singing and thinking that maybe I'm going to continue on and try to be an opera singer, I look back on that time with such nostalgia. First of all, because I loved it so much. But second of all, because that was a time in my life where I was also transitioning away from that and into a dark period of my life. And so for me, it's already been sort of healing to be using my music from back then in all my social media now and in these videos. But it's like another level of, I don't know, emotional, I don't know, I don't have the words. It feels like that part of me isn't like sitting stagnant in the past, like long forgotten. It's getting new life. And so I'm super, super, super stoked about this. He's got one track and he's playing around with more, and I'm very excited to see what else happens, what else comes of it. And we get some new music vibes for my videos. So please go follow him too, Olympia Trout Patrol. I'll link to his YouTube in the description box and show him some love. He's also on Instagram by the same name, and also Facebook. So with that, while Willie and I are waiting for the rain to come, I will say goodbye and enjoy the new track with my purple shrug and hood set being modeled. I also just wanted to say how I know Michael. We both went to high school together. We were in choir together, and the school musicals, as well as we went to the same church growing up. Well, not growing up. I only moved to that town when I was in junior high. So, but we knew each other in the youth groups. So thankfully, we both found our own paths to deconverting. So yeah, both atheists now, and very happily. And so that's almost like another layer of somebody from my past, before all the darkness that I had in my life, is sort of reinventing another part of my past that I loved, that I look back on with such nostalgia, and giving it fresh new life. So I'm just very grateful. I think it's super cool. And I'll share each new track with you as they come out, whatever he is inspired to put together. And I did already make a video of just this song, and I added it to my playlist. If you didn't know, I do have a playlist on YouTube here of just the music stuff that I've recorded, as well as my parents' band. When I was little, my parents had a folk band in San Diego, so I have some of their recordings on there too. Okay, so with that, here you go. Hello there. So this morning I photographed the purple shrug and hood, as you already saw. And now and then I finished my Nana, which is for next Wednesday. And just so you know, today is Thursday, so I'm pretty far ahead on that. So I got out some yarns for my meatballs for my little ornaments. I'm going to keep going until I run out of this one, because as you can see, I'm going to run out of this one first. And I already have a lap full of balls. See my balls? And stuffing. So I'm working on that. I'm going to do that until that runs out. And then I will put those away for a little bit and do something else. I like to do this batch making when I can, bit by bit, so I don't just like start to go crazy and cross-eyed. There was something I was going to tell you and now I've forgotten. What was I going to say? I remember. Okay, gosh. I think I must be tired. So I was just going to point out, I noticed, because if you follow me on social media here on YouTube or whatever, and if you happen to watch my shorts or my reels anywhere, I've been in the habit of every single day posting a reel of my memories. And Facebook helps me with this, because I go to Facebook and I just go to my memories and I put together a reel of all my memories of on this day in my crochet history. So I saw that exactly 1 year ago today, I also photographed a purple shrug in that same flower of life design. So that's what this is, the one right here. So I put together this little side by side of last year and this morning. I just thought that was pretty hilarious. Like, I've made enough of these that this kind of coincidence can happen. So I like noticing those kinds of things. I don't actually think it means anything, but I think it's funny. And the other thing I forgot to mention is that it is going to be my son's birthday coming up in about a week and a half. However, he won't be with me on his birthday, so we are going to do a little family celebration this weekend, so Saturday. And I asked him, as I tend to do these years with my kids when it's birthday time or Christmas time, I'm like, is there anything you want me to crochet for you? Or would you like some spending money? They always pick crochet. But his pick for me this year is kind of like a simple-ish project. So I'll give him some money too. But here, I'll show you what he wants. It's a thing from a Roblox game that he plays. I made him this other character, like for Christmas, I think last year. Yeah, Christmas. And I guess this little mouse thing now sits on his character's shoulder. So I'm going to make him the mouse. It's not going to be in proportion to the little character of his that I made. Actually, like, that character is like his avatar that he plays as. It's not going to be in proportion because his character that I made him is only like this big. So the mouse should be only like this big, but I'll make the mouse like a proper plush on its own. So I'll take you along that journey. I think I'm going to dive into that tonight when I get to the end of the meatballs that I'm making. As you can see, I already got started with another before I realized, oh yeah, I wanted to tell you about that. So I'm going to get started on that tonight. I have still tomorrow to work on it. And hopefully I'm done with it by Saturday morning so that we can have some family time and I won't be still working on that last minute. I mean, I could give it to him later too. I don't have to give it to him on Saturday because it's like a whole week before his birthday and I'll be with him like every day up until the actual day of his birthday. So I could give it to him any of those days and he will be he will be pleased. So I'm looking forward to doing that. A new pattern to figure out for my boy. I ended up with 16 meatballs and I like that number, so I'm off to make the gift. Just using this little video I took as a guideline for myself, I just took it upon myself to start making the shapes, and I decided not to bother writing down the pattern this time as I went. So if I ever need to recreate this, I can refer back to my son's creation. So what I did, because each of these pieces has a flat part, like at the bottom of the head and at the bottom of each of the feet, I used this plastic cutting board, this flexible plastic cutting board that's easy to cut. I love using this for helping to give structure. So look how perfect it turned out. I didn't even plan this, but it can actually sit on your shoulder. I used wire in the tail as well, so the tail is posable. By the way, I was able to get it to him on Saturday, and he loves it. May the rains fall soft upon your fields, and now that I've made a whole rainbow of these monochromatic shrugs and hoods, I'm going back and doing some other basic colors like pink here. I got going on the pink. I actually finished it, but I haven't photographed it yet, so you'll have to wait till the next video to see that. But I'm still waiting on the yarn from Hobby. It's taking a long time to get here. I'm also really drawn to my yarn scraps right now because my bag is getting really full and my spindle is sitting there looking so pretty and it really wants to spin. So I'm probably going to have to do that soon too. Well, the rain has begun. This is super exciting for a vlog, I know. But it gives me a chance to have a nice little rain sound in the background while I say crochet hooks and colors bright, crafting wonders day and night. Join the fun, come see it through, subscribe and I'll create for you. Can we get a glimpse of the trees? I don't know if we can, it's too dark. It's too dark. I'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for watching. You only think you want to come out. You don't want to come out. It's cold and wet. She's an indoor kitty, much to her chagrin.